Welcome to TEDCO's Entrepreneurial Expo in downtown Baltimore, where the region's top business owners, innovators, and investors have gathered to network, grow, and celebrate the vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Maryland. I'm Chris Frew with BioBuzz Networks. I'm excited to be joined today by Sue Carr, founder and president of CarrTech Corporation. Sue, welcome. Could you take a second to introduce yourself and your company?
Sure. I'm Sue Carr, president and founder of CarrTech Corp. CarrTech is a medical device company that has invented, patented, prototyped, and submitted to FDA the only all-in-one package one needle filter called Frew, filter removal of glass, which ensures that no glass shards are going to enter the bloodstream and no needle stick injuries for the healthcare provider in half the time for medications that are packaged in glass ampoules.
Could you tell us a little bit about your founding story, where this came from, the technology came from?
Sure. As a clinical hospital pharmacist and a retail hospital manager for over 30 years, I noticed a complicated process of filtering ampoule-based medications. This is an ampoule. It's a sealed container of medicine. It's cheap, readily available, stable for a longer period of time, and tamper-proof. But there's one big problem. To access the medicine, you have to snap the neck. And when you do that, over 70% of the time, glass shards enter into the ampoule and have to be filtered before it can be administered to the patient. I noticed this as a technician, and many years retail, I forgot about it. But when I went back to hospital, I continued to see the problem, and it became my why.
That's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about how TEDCO has been part of your journey since starting CarrTech.
So it was 2018. I received my first patent, and I took in my first money from friends and family, mostly friends. And I realized that I had to get out of the house and start networking. Somebody told me about TEDCO, and they had this prelude pitch. So I decided to try out for the TEDCO prelude pitch. It was the last day of my job as a clinical hospital pharmacist, so it was really scary jumping off that cliff into the unknown. But I knew to have this work, I had to give it my 100% and to apply full time. So I applied for the TEDCO prelude pitch, went in there with paper. I had no idea what I was doing. One of the members of TEDCO said I would never invest in her. It was the absolute worst pitch I have ever done in my life. My secretary, who is IT illiterate, was running the slides, and that went terribly wrong. But I learned a lot, and it was kind of the beginning of my journey with TEDCO. From there, a year later, they did invest. So, and that was a week before COVID hit. I pitched at Connect Entrepreneur here in Baltimore, and a half an hour later, I pitched in Frederick County. So 2 pitches in one day. By the end of the day, I didn't know what I said, but it went. But from that pitch at Connectpreneur in Baltimore and in the Carey School of Business, right on the wharf, I received my first big TEDCO funding. And then at the same time, I applied for the Salisbury Shore Hatchery, which is also, and won 5th place with $10,000. So that was my first big win.
TEDCO was part of your first big check. How else have they been part of the growth of you as an entrepreneur and as your company?
Well, the first big check was for $50,000 through the Builder Fund, but the Builder Fund also provided leadership and entrepreneur assistance, helping to teach us the lean business model canvas and how to link, the customers and end users and your value prop. So I learned a lot through that. And I built a relationship with other founders through the Builder Fund, which I just ran into a couple of people. We're all good friends, and we built a really strong community. And from there, I built my village. From there, they invested again through seed funding, the rubric grant, and I keep applying for money because we're almost there.
It sounds like you're almost there, and you're one of my favorite entrepreneurs in Maryland, and I'll have to tell you why.
One of my favorite too.
What you just talked about, you applied to the hatchery on the west coast of Maryland fund. You're in Baltimore City. You're based out of Frederick. I see you everywhere.
And I live in Montgomery County.
And you live in Montgomery County, and that's the hustle that it takes to be an entrepreneur. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about that and what it's like launching a med tech company here in Maryland.
Maryland has so many resources. I mean, I wondered, my company was founded in Virginia. I had a friend that lived in Richmond that was a lawyer, said use my house. So I used his house as my address for probably 10 years, 9 years. And, but I moved to Maryland, got married, and through the EDGE program, through FITCI, I applied, and they said, well, you have to be a Frederick company. And I said, well, I'll buy space. And I had no intention of renting space in Frederick at the time, but I did rent space, and I started, so I took the EDGE program and became an entrepreneur, and went to, and realized that you have to get out of the house. You have to network. You have to be everywhere all at once, and you have to still come home late at night and do your work and check your emails. So the important thing is getting out, networking, let people know your name, let people know what you're doing, and broaden your existence everywhere.
Well, you sure do that, and I think the success you've seen and the different funding you've seen and the different programs you've been part of. You mentioned FITCI, which is Frederick's incubator, and EDGE, which is a well-renowned executive program, mentoring program. So it's, I mean, you clearly take advantage of a lot of what Maryland has to offer. Now, are you what's on the horizon for CarrTech right now? Are you raising? You mentioned you're almost there. Can you tell us a little bit about what's coming next?
Yes. So I built a prototype. Is this when I show my little thing, or no?
Yeah, you can show.
Okay. So this is called Frog Filter Removal of Glass. It's an all-in-one filter. You can see the filter's at the tip. Normally it's down here. It's at the tip, and there's an inner needle. So you would take your ampule and break it, withdraw the fluid. And you can do one of three things at this point. You can remove the outer cover and never see a needle stick, which costs hospitals over $2 billion to treat annually, and lock it into a line, or you can remove the outer cover and inject. We submitted to FDA in February. They've come back. They want us to do a couple of little things that they've got questions on. So we have a little bit of more research to do, which costs money. And we have to answer them by mid-April, and we anticipate being on the market and selling by the end of 2025, with our first customer being one of the largest military hospitals in the United States and maybe the world. They've already requested 1,000 frogs. So it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Well, congratulations on all the success and being such a great representation of entrepreneurship in the med tech field here for Maryland. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Chris Frew with BioBuzz Networks. We're recording live at the TEDCO Expo. Thank you.